Hello and welcome to UrbanEdRx podcast. This is a supportive and healing community for those who live and work in urban communities. We are creating a safe space for us to come together to discuss the challenges that are often faced, but also while prescribing some simple and supportive solutions to help you thrive. I'm your host, Coach Racquel. And I'm inviting you to join not just this podcast, but our movement. So we want you to be a part of the change because in order to really make this work, it's going to take a village. It's going to take a community. And so I am excited because I have a host on today, two of my favorite people. And they have helped me so much in my life. So I'm so excited to share with you who they are. And we're going to come together and we're going to give you some simple and easy tips. As well as just to talk about life and the journey through urban education, and as well as wellness and how wellness can really be the solution and the cure to help so that our communities are actually thriving. So without further ado, I would love for you to meet Sheona and Steve Little.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah, so as I said, these are two of my absolute favorite people in the world. They have been there with me through everything. I would not be sitting here doing this without them and their encouragement. And I think that's why it was so important for me to have them as my first guest. Because, when we're talking about urban education, we've been through this journey together. And they have risen up the ranks. We've all gone to urban schools and we've all worked in urban schools, and now they are leading in urban schools. And so I thought it would be really nice to have them share their journey with you. But not only are they doing that, they are in the wellness field and they are cultivating a culture of wellness in their communities. And so this episode is really about that. Like, how do we cultivate that? When it comes to connection, these two have it on lock. So I want you to share out with our guests how you have been able to do that and to transform not just your own, silo, your children, things like that, but you've been so transformative in so many people's lives. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we're going to jump into some of these questions.
Thank you, Rock. Thank you so much, as I affectionately call her. So first of all, thank you so much for inviting us on this podcast. We're super excited to be here and just share our, journey with you all. My name is Sheona Little, and I'm the founder and owner of Sayanda Wellness. But I am also a teacher. I've been in education for probably the last, at least over 15 years. And I am now what we call an education coach for my district. And there's a lot to talk about in this realm. There's so much that we go through day in and day out as educators, but I am happy that I do have the wellness business that I have been able to integrate into the urban setting, into our district. And so I can't wait to talk a little bit more about that, but I'll let my husband
All right.
introduce himself.
All right, great. And I'm Steve Little, and thank you once again, Coach Rock. We appreciate you inviting us on here. I've been in education now going on year 21 here. Didn't always start out in education. Started out in the business world, corporate America. It was fun. It was good money, but it wasn't my passion. So, had a opportunity to get into teaching as a substitute, and I fell in love with it, and, to this day now, I'm a principal of a high school in an urban neighborhood, and I love it. I'm having a great time. So just excited to be on here to share some things with other people and hope that, folks get something good out of it.
Yeah. And I think what's important, what you said, right, is that you're loving it, because I think so many people shy away from wanting to work in urban education, right? We all hear the war stories and nobody's going to say it's peaches and creams. It's not rainbows and roses all the time, but what is, Right. But there's so much that comes out of it, right? And so I would love to hear from both of you, like your journey in through urban education and any thing that you feel like really helped you, or what made you a better person as a result of being in that industry or in that environment?
I think that's such a loaded question. But I think that, first of all, growing up in what they call an urban setting now, but basically growing up in the city and being a product of an urban school district, graduating from Harrisburg School District, being in that particular environment actually, I think, just transforms you. It just transforms you in a way that other environments may not have, meaning that, we were already knowledgeable in the area of how urban school districts work and what the expectations are, and kind of what population of children we would be serving. And so I think we can both say that we came into this profession or career or our passion already understanding what we were getting into, because we are products of that.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. But then also, and you probably had some experiences such as myself, but coming up in, say, elementary school or even middle school, you have teachers there who just changed your life. It was something about those teachers, whether they're the ones who believed in you when you didn't even believe in yourself. And, just kind of, you start to realize it as you get older, like, man, there's people there who push me, and I don't know if I would have made it to my level had they not gave me that push. So, I'd love to be that person who can push the next child to move up, because there's someone else out there who needs it.
Mm-hmm. And I think we can all agree that there's certain challenges and things that our students and children face that usually attend more urban or city type of school districts. Not to say that all students or all children don't experience, challenges or hardships, but there's certain specific challenges and hardships that our particular population of students experience. And so just coming, being in that, like I said, being in that realm and really having a good foundation understanding of what those challenges are for those students, and kind of knowing, already having a knowing of how to, meet them where they are in that space.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely, it is hard, right? Like you said, there are these challenges, there's things that we are facing, but there's such a great need, right? I love what you said, Steve, that there was somebody, and we all have that one person, right? I'm sure we could all rattle off at least one or a few teachers who really made an impact. I know Miss Dunson automatically speaks out for me. So all those people from the Harrisburg area, whoever went to Harrisburg High, who I'm talking about, Miss Dunson. She was our School of Business and Industry teacher, but she's also part of why I am who I am today, because she gave me a chance, right? My grades were horrible my 9th grade year. And I remember going to her and I was like pleading with her to let me into that business program. And she gave me a chance. And that was really the catalyst for me to really like get my stuff together and be like, you know what, this is a little bit more serious than I'm taking it right now. And it changed my life, because my grades went from, D's and, C's to A's and B's, and I really excelled. So, that just moment and that chance really did make such a big impact. So I would love to hear, just for you all, I know when it comes to community, as I said earlier, you all have it on lock. So what has it been, or what has been your driving force to create such a beautiful community? It's like you draw people in, and they have an extended family, y'all. Like they are raising, they've got extended kids, kids that aren't biologically theirs, that they have been supporting, who have gone on to do great things. So what has been your recipe or your prescription? What has really helped you to be able to be there for those, not only your kids, but for the extended family that you've created?
Honestly, I think for me, I can say it was more so the modeling of my own mother. She just really instilled, and very quietly, she wasn't, or she's not very loud about what she does in any kind of way, or people even knowing that my mother was this type of person, but she always took anybody in who needed whatever they needed. They needed a place to stay. They needed extra food, extra clothes. They needed support to go to the doctor. And she's still doing those things. And I think just from growing up in that space with her and watching her do those things, it was kind of like second nature for us to then be and Steve is a coach. His second passion is basketball. And so we kind of, being married, we were heavily involved in that realm. And so we were just always around children and families. And so
relationships.
Yeah, we built so many relationships, and we have been blessed enough to be able to be in a space where we can help, others be able to, just thrive. Whenever they needed it. So
yeah, and for me, and that's very good. But for me, it was more so of like growing up in Queens, New York. That's just what everyone did in my neighborhood. That's all I saw as a child. The older guys in the neighborhood, they always just took us under their wing, and they kept us involved in activities. To the point where, I played in so many basketball tournaments all around New York City, and I never paid a dime for it. So I didn't know that people had to pay to play, say, AAU basketball, because I've never paid anything. Older guys in the neighborhood, they took care of us. They knew that if they could keep us active, there was a very good chance that we would stay alive and stay out the streets, And so they invested time in me. And I can recall an older guy saying, hey, all I want you to do one day is give back. That's all, just give back. So my mind has always been set on giving back to others because someone poured into me one day.
Wow, that's beautiful. So it truly does take a village, right? To be able to do this work. And it's beautiful that the two of you were on the same page with that, right? Even though you have two separate, ways of kind of coming to that, there's that common ground of it takes a village, right? We got to each one teach one, right? All the buzzwords that, we've learned along the way, but really giving back. So when you think about like the current state of education, I'm often saying like it has to change, right? We can't just continue to do things the same way that it's been done in the past to be able to support the students as they move forward into their future. What are some things, tips, tools, things that you would suggest for people that are working in urban education to help so that they're continuing to support? So I know that's another loaded question, but just some things that you can think of that would be supportive or encouraging to people who are working in urban education.
I think one of the things that we really have to be open to is understanding that each generation of children are different, and we really have to get better at being able to adjust and be flexible to each and every need of every student, during the times that we're in. I don't think right now we do a very good job of adjusting. I think we're kind of on the peak of so many great ideas, but because of political things and all types of stuff, it takes so long to implement, new strategies and different things into the district. And, or things get started, people leave, new things get started, and nothing's really stuck. And so I just think coming in, with an open mind and an open heart, also understanding and realizing that you are the face that those students will see every day. I think a lot of educators, we all get stuck in that political realm where we're kind of always combating what we can do, what we can't do. And I think if we keep our minds a little bit more focused on just being student centered, what is it that our students need? How can we provide what they need in real time so that they're engaged in it, so that they, feel a type of self-efficacy in their own learning? How can we, bring up those practices in them? So I think we really have to step in with this open mind of, doing things differently, just doing things differently and being open to new,
Mhm. Yeah.
just
Absolutely. No, that's key right there. And part of doing things differently is, putting more of a focus on building relationships with your
Mhm,
students
mhm,
and with your colleagues and with your administrators. Just building these relationships, because life is so much easier when there's lots of positive relationships out there. We all know that there's certain hierarchies in education. You got your teachers, and then above them, your principals, above them, you have administrators and stuff. But those who look at these positions as, oh, that's my boss, it kind of makes it a very funny relationship now, because, you know, uh, there's people who just don't feel comfortable approaching their bosses with certain things,
Mm,
level of nervousness there. But if you look at it like, hey, you know what? No, we all have a job to do. It doesn't matter, who's considered higher, but we all have a job to do here. And so for me in my school, the teachers feel more comfortable because they know that they can come to me with an idea. And there's a very good chance that I'm going to support them with their idea,
mm,
and it's not like oh, I can't do this because Mr. Little's going to say something, or he won't approve of this. It's a very positive relationship. So it just makes the entire work environment better. Students are happier, because students feed off the energy of the leader in their classroom. You
mhm.
know? And so if the leader of that classroom is coming with the wrong type of energy, you can tell. Once you observe the classroom, you can see what's going on. And it starts with that, the relationships. Man, it's going to be a rough year for you.
mhm. we have we have to come able to think outside the box, right? We know that students are engaged with technology all day long. So
Mhm,
how do we engage them with everything else that is, picking at their brains already before they even enter the building, right? So we have to get creative in how
mm,
we are approaching and engaging them in education. And I think teachers have gotten so, I think they're complacent, but I think they're also tired, right? There's this, well, every time I, try to do this or try to do that, like I said, they feel like there's always, that push and pull. But I just think if we really try to exercise our voice a little
mhm,
more, sometimes teachers are, I've noticed, especially being a coach now, teachers are really afraid to exercise their voice and saying, you know what, if I do these project-based lessons where I get the students out of the classroom, or I'm able to do more engaging things with them, I got better results. We really need to be, just use our voice a little bit more. So I know in my current job, I've been trying to give teachers back,
mhm.
that ability, just telling them, like, you have a voice. You do have a voice. You are the face that students see every single day. You
Yep,
know what's going on every moment of the day with the
mhm.
children in your classroom. You have a voice. You know, we,
Yeah.
we just really need to band together to be able to use our voices so that we can, hone in on the changes that really need to be made.
Yeah. And I think it's so important to be said, right? I know even in my coaching, a lot of times I have to coach people on advocating, right? Because there's this fear. And I remember when I was in the classroom, right, I had a little bit of that fear too. Like, man, if I say this to this person, or if I suggest this, like, are they going to now, am I going to be on their list, now where they're harassing me every 2 seconds, right? That's always the fear that many people hold in the space. And of course, I mean, you two have been amazing because I mean, I've seen how you work. You're like, all right, what's the best for the kids? Let's make that happen, right? Whatever that looks like for them, right? Whether that means I need to pull new resources, things like that. But I definitely think there's so many people, right? We often talk about differentiating for the kids, but when we're talking about adults, the same thing, right? You have some adults who are more confident, who are like, all right, that was the rule, but this is what's going to work for these kids. And then you have the people who are rule followers, right? Which they're going to follow the rule the exact way that you told them to do it. And so I definitely think there's an importance, right? Like you said, Steve, and Sheona, right? Giving teachers back their power, right? To use their voice in their classroom, to be able to advocate not only for themselves, but for the students that are in front of them. They're boots on the ground. They see them, like you said, every day. They're interacting. So they know better than anyone else what they need. And I often tell leaders, like, you have to, if you are trying to figure something out, you know what I mean? Ask the teachers or ask the people who are going to actually, have to do whatever you're asking them to do. One, it'll make your life so much easier because you don't have to create something that everybody's going to hate. And then try to like sell them on it. But it also gives them a sense of autonomy. It also gives them a sense of excitement, like to buy into the idea of this new thing that's coming because they now have been a part of, that process. So when you think of new teachers or, even more people of color coming into urban education, what are some things that you all would suggest or, how would you encourage more people of color or even newer teachers to get into the field?
Well, the first thing I would say is that if I can advertise this, we need you. We need people of color. And now let me explain why we need people of color.
Okay.
So if we are, or if anyone is teaching inside of an urban school district or whatever population of your school district that you're teaching in, studies have shown that students engage better with teachers and people that look like them. Now, it's not to say that, other populations or cultures of people can't be in the school, but overall, students should walk into an atmosphere. The people that are teaching them should really have a good foundation and, look like them, be able to connect with these students on their level. So if what was I trying to say? If I have a teacher, just say, I'm just gonna go there because I'm usually I have a class with, I have a class with 25 students and 20 of those students are Hispanic. And all the teachers that they see are white teachers, right? I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with a white teacher. However, those students, if they had someone of a Hispanic origin, at least, in that proximity in that classroom with them, helping them to gain a foundation for their learning. Like I said, studies show that they are more apt to be more engaged because there is a connection there between the two cultures, right? Or between the same cultures. So
Yeah.
If I'm, a Hispanic teacher is going to know or have a better cultural response or understanding to what those students, how they learn, right? What goes on in their home life, what normally happens in that particular cultural group after they graduate high school. Is college a thing in their particular culture? You know what I mean? If it's not, how do we educate them to then move on to something bigger and better if it's not college? You know what I mean? So, and like I said, not that other people can't do that, but it really, like I said, studies show that they need to see and be in front of people who look and think, know them,
like
know them.
And it also helps in a sense of, when you look at the future, because if you don't see a person who look like you in a certain profession, it's very difficult to imagine yourself doing that as well. And, oftentimes you hear people say, oh, I don't want to be a teacher. I would never be a teacher. Well, why is that? Has anyone stopped to think, why is it people are saying those things? For me, when I used to say it, because I said it often when I was younger, I said it because there just wasn't many people that looked like me, period. It was always females. I all of my teachers growing up, for the most part, Caucasian females. I had some great ones, but I never thought that I would be a teacher looking at them, you know. But it wasn't until, I got into high school, I finally saw someone who looked like me, as an educator, but it was gym class, so it was like, okay, I could be a gym teacher.
Shout out to the PE teachers.
Yeah,
Hold it down.
yeah, that was you. Black gym teacher, like, okay, all right, well, yeah, but no, I'm not going to be a teacher, but it would be cool to, wear sweats and sneakers every day to work.
Listen, we do more than that, okay? For those of you who don't know, I was a health and PE teacher for 14 years, so that's why we're laughing.
Right. Can I for a second? I know for me, I used to say too, I don't, my background is in HR management, so I didn't start out as an educator. So, but I was like, I don't ever want to be a teacher. But my reasoning was because I always looked at the behaviors, right? I always looked at the behaviors of the kids, and I thought, man, I can't, I don't want to deal with that, all those behaviors. And then, I started, I actually became the director of a day camp because my children were in this day camp. And so I started working with kids a lot more. And I, very quickly started to realize, oh, okay, these, first of all, they are just children, right? And if you give them certain protocols and you put practices in place and you make them accountable for their behavior, they'll do whatever you want them to do. And I'm not trying to make it that, cut and dry and easy, but you realize that, no, you know what? No, I can do this. And now I'm at a stage where I have to do this because I see what effect, that I could have on these children and their success.
Yeah. And I think too, since we're talking about like, what is that thing? I know for me, like, and even listening to some of my students when I was teaching, a lot of them are looking at teachers like, it doesn't look like an exciting career. Like nobody, especially nowadays, these kids are like, everybody wants to be a YouTuber or something like that. So if they're coming to class and the teachers look bored and look tired and worn down, then, who wants to strive to be that? You know what I mean? But I think that's why wellness is so important, right? Because when we fill our cups, and you two know this better than anyone, when we fill our cups and when we make sure that we're good, then we bring a light, right, to those students that makes it actually look a lot better, right? It's something to strive for, something that they want to be a part of, something that they're getting something out of, not just, oh man, here I go coming in again, right? Because the kids start sounding like we do when we're at jobs we don't like, right? Oh, here we go. I got to go to class again. I got to go to that class. Like, I'm going to skip around, and I'll come to the classes I like or the teachers that I like, where we're not just talking about education, right? Where we're talking about life. And I know, Steve, you've done that a lot, bringing life skills into your classes, and making sure that the students, when they leave, they don't just leave knowing how to, because Steve was a math teacher for you all, but not just knowing how to do math, but how to bring that and apply that to life, right? So I'd love to hear about how you all have infused wellness into the jobs that you're doing now.
So, wow, it's actually been it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey to really visualize things that being a teacher, I could see things that the students needed, when they come in with so much heaviness, and it's like, okay, how can I provide a space for them where they can unpack that for a second, right? They can take that backpack off, whatever they came in with, they can set it down. And for the next 6.5, 7 hours of the day, how can that not be their struggle? Mm-hmm. I think I've always come in with that mindset, and probably because I've always approached just children and life in general with that sense of wellness. wanting to create spaces for people to be able to unpack all of the challenges and the heaviness, and just create safe and peaceful spaces. But in my classroom, I started doing meditation and yoga with the students. Years ago, I became I can't even talk now. I can't even talk.
It's late.
Yoga instructor, and a certified Afro Flow yoga instructor. And so, and also in creating my wellness business, Sayanda Wellness, I really started to think about different ways of incorporating what I was learning into the classroom with my students. And so I realized right off the bat the difference in creating that space, even in my classroom, taking more time out to create little corners and spaces of peaceful music and, nice art and just a nice, peaceful space for students to enter into.
Talk about what you did at Ferguson, though, the whole school.
Oh, yeah. So during COVID, we were trying to figure out, what we could do. How can we bring some wellness into the whole entire school? The elementary school I was teaching at the time, Ferguson Elementary. And so myself with my principal, we decided we would do a 15-minute wellness kind of block every day. It was every single day we stopped. And so I created a bank of wellness videos, but I also taught some of the wellness, just for that 15 minutes, we would do some stretching, we would do some breathing, some yoga, different things for the students to be able to recenter, get refocused. And we did it every day for 2 years during COVID. And even if we couldn't be in the school building, like I said, I created a bank of, wellness videos and different things that even students could do with their families. We recorded some of them so that they could do them outside of school, different things like that. So I have I'm blessed to do it, but I also notice how it does begin to change. And it's not a quick fix, but you begin to notice once you start, incorporating wellness into the students' day, they begin to ask for it. They start to see the change within themselves. And so at now it's literally become the thing in the district. They've started hiring. I think we just hired a new wellness supervisor. They're really, beefing up social emotional learning around the district, things like that. I've been able to incorporate yoga classes and things like that for the teachers.
Once a week.
Once a week. Yeah. So we've really started, or at least our district has started to really center learning around wellness, because we do have a high level of burnout in our district.
Yeah. And for me, bringing wellness into my classroom with my students is something that I was doing for a very long time. For the first, I want to say 15 years of being in the classroom, I had 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. And, I taught math, we did a lot of good math, but in just observing these students, I could always see that when they had personal issues going on in their life, it didn't matter how good I was as a teacher. They weren't ready to receive any information. And sometimes they just needed some healing in their mind. So what I would do, I would stop class, just totally stop class. Everybody close your books. And I would always have just a special chair that I sat on in front of the classroom. And we would just talk. We would talk about life. I would give some different examples. They would tell me some things. I would give some advice. Just a great opportunity to drop jewels. And the thing is, you never know who's really listening and taking in that information, but somebody's getting it. And, of course, as they get older, and you start reconnecting with students, they come back and they talk about the conversations that they had in your classroom. And so, you're like, all right, great. So I know that this works,
Mm-hmm.
So the first 15 years, I did that with 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. But my last 2 years in the classroom was with 5th and 6th graders. And when I dropped down to 5th and 6th, I really wasn't sure if they would be ready for my conversation, because I didn't want to dummy down my conversation either. I wanted them to rise up. So I went ahead and gave it a shot. And I'm telling you, I saw those 10 and 11-year-olds grow so much that school year. And it got to the point where, I could finish the curriculum, teaching the math curriculum in, say, January or February. And when the state test came, it always showed that those students grew. They grew, they grew. Now, I don't believe that they grew because of the math that I taught them. It was the mindset shift. That's what it was. It was the shift in mindset, because when you can talk about life and relevancy, things that are relevant to them, and how just changing their ways of thinking can help them to be more successful. Well, now when they sit down and take this state exam, they take it more seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes their score was low because they didn't take it seriously at all.
Mm-hmm.
So a shift in mindset. And that's what that wellness was for me. Wasn't so much of the yoga and the meditation, but the shift in the mindset, because that's another form of wellness.
Yeah. Wellness is all encompassing. I tell people that all the time, right? Everything we do from the time we wake up in the morning to the time we go to bed, there's something that's impacting our wellness, right? The connections that we're making, that rapport that you're building, being able to teach people how to breathe and take a moment. I think what's really key that I heard both of you say is this idea that sometimes you got to stop, right? In education, there's this hustle that, we got to keep going. We got to hit these test scores. We got to, they're so data driven and outcomes based that they forget that there's humanity, right? That we have to be human beings first. And I think it's so key to be able to look out amongst those students and be like, you know what? Let's put our books down for a second, right? We're going to do a breathing thing, or let's just talk about life, right? Because how many people might those kids have that will actually sit down and have those conversations, right? You might have been that first person, that an adult that they seen in their life that was willing to be like, you know what, let's talk about this stuff, right? Like, what are you thinking? Well, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I've experienced, right? And it's so powerful, right? And like you said, at the end of the day, they were killing those test scores, right? They were seeing growth, and it wasn't about the math. It was about the relationship. It was about the building. And that's why I really wanted you two on here, because I think you two have really honed in that idea of community, connection, right? Which is one of the key parts of wellness, is making sure that we are connecting one to another. And there's always been, it doesn't matter how many roles you two have taken on, you still remain the same, right? You still remain the same. And if somebody needs something, if these kids, I don't care what student, I know, they could be running down the hall, but you're going to help them. And so, I think that is something that for those listening to really take in, is that it's not so much about the outcomes and the data, but more so about how do we make those strong connections and make sure we're meeting students where they are. So we've talked a lot about students, we talked a lot about education, but you all are extending out into the community too, right? Your wellness doesn't just sit in the educational space, it sits out in the community. So I would love for you all to tell our listeners more about Sayanda Wellness and that journey, as well as some of the amazing things that you have coming up for people to participate in.
Oh, so Sayanda Wellness, that is a journey, a beautiful, beautiful journey. So Sayanda Wellness was created almost 8 years ago now. And it actually was created, it was birthed out of an idea that I had with my amazing sister friends, and Racquel. She is also a part of this equation. But we started a girls group called Sayanda Girls. And the girls group was, we wanted to be able to mentor girls in the area of leadership, empowerment, and purpose. And we did that through the wellness wheel. So we took all those aspects of wellness and we put it into the framework for our Sayanda Wellness Girls Group. And so we did that successfully. Our last group of girls right before COVID, they all graduated, most of them went on to college. Some of them went into career trade fields. And they're just doing amazing things in their communities and things like that. But the great part about that group was that we were able to travel with them, and we were able to teach them about the areas of wellness that would help them maneuver through different parts of their lives. And so out of that, one of the things that we noticed with that was we had to connect with parents, right? When we were trying to, get these girls into the group. And so we kind of decided, we were like, we need to, maybe invite the parents into some of these meetings so we can, maybe they might need some of this too. I think one of our meetings is we started doing things for parents. And then that kind of birthed into, well, why don't we just do an event for whoever, and it just kind of really turned into this amazing community-centered program where we are providing a space for liberation through the mind, body, and soul. And we like to try to make sure that our services reach areas, really underserved areas, areas where people of color or, other humans don't have access to these services. And so we all have been on the journey of creating Sayanda Wellness. And my husband, Steve, here, he is one of our, he sits on the board, but he is also a part of our men's group that he's actually starting this year called Kings in Training. But within Sayanda Wellness, we have myself, who I'm a yoga instructor, certified yoga instructor, also a Afro-Flow yoga instructor, a certified herbalist, a nutrition specialist, overall wellness health advocate. And so, and then we have Racquel here, who is also a certified yoga instructor. She is also a transformational and health coach. We have another coach on our team. We have a massage therapist, Reiki specialist, meditation specialist. So we have all of these. We literally have this synergy within this particular group where we go out and we do retreats for the community. We do workshops, retreats, classes, with all types of different. So it could be yoga. It could be, we actually have what do we have coming up? A holiday party, a wellness holiday party. We did one right before COVID and we haven't been able to do one since. So I'm excited that we are bringing our wellness parties back. And what they are, it's just a great way to experience wellness. It's kind of like a little snapshot of what we do on a larger scale, but we do it kind of on a smaller scale. We take a few hours in the evening and we have some wine, we have some good food, good company. We allow people to experience, bits of yoga, some meditation, some quick coaching sessions, all the things that they could adopt into their wellness journey. We try to provide little snippets of it during our holiday party, but also just inviting in the community, a place for people to come and network and meet new people within, the wellness, in the wellness space. And from that, well, did you want to say anything?
Well, first, before you finish, make sure, so you can find them at sayandawellness.com, SIYANDA wellness.com, where you can learn more about all of those things that she just talked about. And we'll let you finish. Go ahead.
So I also wanted to say we have a retreat. Last year we did that was this year actually. In August, we did our first international retreat, which was held in Montego Bay in Jamaica. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, man.
It's the perfect mix between relaxation, rejuvenation, but also getting into those healing spaces. It was just wonderful. It was a wonderful time. And we are doing this retreat again in Jamaica. It's going to be from July 16th through the 22nd in 2024. And you can actually go on our website, sayandawellness.com, and you can get more information about the holiday party, which is going to be a little snippet of what the 5-day, it's a 6-day, 6-day, 7-night retreat. Or did I say that right? 7-day, 6-night.
Right. Just remember the date.
Yeah. And we have all types of options. So you can do a single room, double room, triple room.
It's going to be incredible.
There's a payment plan available for anybody who, wants to, you just put down a deposit and you pay on it until you pay it off. So there's lots of options out there. That we really want to be able to take Sayanda Wellness on the scale of creating spaces for especially not only black and brown people, but people who otherwise just did not feel like they fit into these spaces of wellness. And so we're really hoping that we can expand Sayanda Wellness, do even more not only international retreats, but more of our wellness parties and more retreats here around different places in the States. So we're really looking forward to that. That's kind of what we're working on outside of the classroom.
Right, but I want more international retreats.
Right.
We love to travel, so that's always a thing.
Yes, and there's something in exposure, right? When you're exposed to things outside of your normal environment, it just creates this expansion, this like we're talking about, this thriving mentality that is developed out of it. And when I tell y'all, we had so much fun. And one of the things that I think so many people said was the community, right? That culture of community, the connection. Like it just felt like one big family. Some people knew each other, some people didn't, but by the end, everybody was calling each other brothers, sisters. So, if you're looking for a place that's going to give you that, to get away from the US for a little bit, into some sunshine, some tropical love, then definitely make sure you check them out at sayandawellness.com, because you don't want to miss this. It is so much fun. And it comes with, all kinds of things, right? It's not just the wellness part, but you're out exploring and you're the beaches. Like it's so much fun.
Yeah, it's all inclusive. So the price covers your meals, your room and board, your transportation to and from the airport. It covers an excursion.
We have butler service. We have personal chefs. We have housekeepers. We have gardeners. We have security.
It sits on a beautiful property called Good Hope, which is a
2,100 acres
farm. It's a farm. And there's lots of history there. There's a river that runs through it. There's hiking, there's zip lining, there's all types of stuff. And we integrate, all of the wellness services in there. So there's a massage therapist on board. There's going to be, possibly we'll have someone doing spa services, like facials, things like that. Meditation hours and yoga classes and hypnotherapy. So all types of stuff for us to be involved in, us to, soak and immerse ourselves, and it is just a wonderful time, just a great way to enjoy community.
Yes. So again, make sure you check them out because you don't want to miss it. Be sure to share. And make sure, you send people over so that they're learning and more about Sayanda. And as Sheona said, there's even the wellness party. So a lot of times, people are looking for fun new ways to kind of celebrate each other. Wellness parties are a great way to do that. So you can check out and get all that information there at Sayanda Wellness. So before we sign off, what is 1 or 2 self-care tips that you all would like to give our audience? Ways that they can take care of and fill their cups?
I would say, I think what's been the most helpful to me is really just finding a time in your day, every day, whether it's 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 or 20 minutes, and just take a moment to breathe. Take a moment to breathe. Take a moment to do something that makes you feel happy to be alive. And like I said, even if it's just 1 minute, 1 minute for me might be like screaming at the top of my lungs, my favorite song that just came on a radio for like 1 minute, where I can just get my dance on real quick and be like, okay, let me go to work. So, but one, focusing on one thing that really makes you appreciate, just being alive, that makes you happy to be alive, just tapping into that one thing. But that breath, waking up in the morning and just really getting centered, I think has been the most beneficial. It just sets the tone for the rest of the day. If you can be intentional about what you're thinking, as soon as you get up in the morning, you can set your tone for the rest of the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I would also say, find a way to do something nice for someone each day. You'd be surprised at how well you'll be blessed, just for being a good person and doing nice things for other people.
Yeah. That's so true. It's funny. As Sheona was talking about the dancing, it reminded me a little bit of there's a meme out there where I think it's based off of a movie, but there's a woman, she's like dancing and then her friend comes in and then just like, matches her energy.
Yes.
And Sheona is that person. Like, I remember actually while we were in Jamaica, I broke out into the electric slide and she was right there with me, didn't skip a beat. Like, there was no reason for us to be electric sliding where we were, but it was like a whole thing. Like, she's that one ride or die friend that's going to meet you right there. Like, all right, is that what we do?
Electric slide to reggae music.
You can electric slide to anything. So
yes.
Why not reggae,
Yes, I am that one. I will join in. It doesn't matter who we are, what we're doing. If that's what it is, that's what we're doing.
Yes. And Steve, go ahead.
Sorry, but before we head out, I just want to say thank you, Rock. This is wonderful. I'm so proud of you for doing all of the amazing work that you do. And I just want to, just give you some flowers for a moment and just explain to you that you too also are someone that I look to and for motivation, for positivity, for growth. So I just want to thank you for, everything that you do. This platform is absolutely amazing.
Yes, and thank y'all. I appreciate y'all so much for coming on and for spending your Friday night with me or Wednesday. I think maybe you might want to bloop that one out. But I appreciate y'all coming on here with me and spending time with me. I love y'all so much, and I can't wait to see what's coming up. So again, please be sure to follow them and support them. And I hope that you've gotten some great tips today as you've learned so much, not just about their journey, but about how they found success in supporting our students, supporting our teachers in the urban education setting. So as we wrap up, I just want to express our gratitude to all of our listeners, guests, and supporters, because your involvement, you coming in, listening, is going to make this more than just a show. Our goal here, our vision is to make this a movement for healing and for growth, a safe space where people can come and learn. We can talk about some stuff, but we can also get some solutions to make sure that we're supporting not only ourselves, but our urban communities. So thank you again. This is the UrbanEdRx podcast. You can check us out at all social media platforms at UrbanEdRx. You can also check me out at UrbanEdRx.com if you are interested in learning more about me, or if you're interested in bringing professional development or wellness-based coaching and consulting to your organization. So as always, we like to thank you, and just remember that everything is possible with a plan. Until next time.